Hello friends and welcome to Fire Emblem Discussion. So there's a new update for Fire Emblem 3 Houses that just dropped today, and part of it is the Maddening Difficulty, which is the third difficulty and was just added for free. Anyone who has the game can play it at this point. So again, there goes easy, it's normal, hard, and then maddening. And this maddening difficulty, I've seen a lot of people asking what exactly changes between maddening and hard. And also, like, is it really that difficult, right? So I'm just going to give you, like, my first impressions, my free-flowing thoughts on the topic. So, first off, the things that I've noticed have changed. I've only played the first few chapters. I'm just barely starting it, right? Playing it on stream. And from what I can tell, enemies' levels have been raised between 1 and 2 levels each in the early game. I'm not sure, it would probably be more in the late game compared to their hard mode counterparts. They have some inflated stats, and making some things like doubling really hard. Doubling enemies is pretty unlikely in the early game. It would seem. I'm sure it'll change as we level up units. And there's also some skill changing. So that, like, for example, there's some archers in the first couple chapters that have poison strike, which is really frustrating. So that just means when they attack you after battle, you take 20% of your HP as damage. I don't think it can kill you, but it is just like free damage they get no matter what, which is honestly really frustrating to deal with, but it's there. And they also have, and just other things other skills, like there were a couple of thieves that had pass, meaning they could move through your units, so like defending your back units was harder. So they've added skills and then just like stats essentially to the enemies. And they've also changed the enemy composition a bit. By change, I really mean they've added to. In some cases, it looks like they've changed which units have battalions, which enemy units have battalions and these gambits. But they've also added just more enemies to groupings, so that it's easier for you to get overwhelmed, essentially. And then the final change that I've noticed at this point is, again, I've only played the first couple chapters at this point, and Costas, the boss at the Red Canyon, he did move. And once I was in his range. So I don't know if that's going to be a theme throughout the entire game, that if enemies who didn't move in normal and hard are going to move in maddening, I mean, it would make them slightly more threatening than they are at this point. Costas still only had an iron axe, didn't have like a hand axe or something to make it so he's 1-2 range. You could still cheese him pretty easy. But he did move, and that's something. Now, for my thoughts, is this like a good change in the game? Is this a good difficulty? And from what I can see so far, it is definitely more challenging. I have to think more about what I'm doing. Especially, I'm not doing New Game Plus. If you're doing New Game Plus, it might be a little easier, especially with like the statues and stuff. But the experience is cut like crazy. I don't feel like my units have felt underleveled the entire game, and it's a pain, honestly. But it's still fun. You have to think a little more. You don't have as many units that are just like obviously the best characters ever and just like destroy enemies and can go up against like 4 or 5 enemies at a time. Generally, you have to be a little more careful. And I do enjoy that you have to think more about killing enemies and what order you kill them in and what units you use to kill them to try and distribute the damage you have to deal on a turn in a way that's going to leave your units safe for the next turn. So it's really well done. It's making me strategize more than hard mode and what I assume. I haven't played normal mode, but what I assume normal mode would do. It makes me strategize a lot more, and I appreciate that at least. And it's been a good time. So if you thought normal mode or hard mode, if you thought hard mode wasn't that difficult, or you want more of a challenge from there, definitely 100% play Maddening on your next playthrough. Just give it a shot. That's just my early impressions. I have seen some people say that it's balanced, quote unquote balanced around using New Game Plus, but me personally, I don't think that's necessary. I think the game will be beatable regardless of New Game Plus or just using a purely new game file. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I think it's fun. I think it's worth a play. And as far as like difficulty, for those of you who are Fire Emblem fans, at least, again, this is just from the first few chapters, but it seems kind of, I would say it's like on par with Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn's hard mode, which in Japan is the Maniac mode. I would say it's about on par with that. I would say like these early game chapters are on par with the early game chapters of Radiant Dawn hard mode. I would even say this is. I think Maddening might be like just very ever so slightly more of a challenge, but I really do think that it's comparable to that. But anyways, thanks for listening, guys, and watching. I appreciate it, and I hope you all have a fantastic, wonderful day. And if you haven't, like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And also, leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think about the Maddening Difficulty, and if you've played it, share some experiences. It'd be a great time to have a conversation with you in the comments.